Hey, story fans and fellow writers, it's your old pal, the Writing Ref. I don't hate, I just officiate your favorite Star Wars. And boy, did I officiate it last episode, called 4 Penalties. I had someone comment on a different social media platform that, hey, I don't want to just watch a video all about penalties, there's enough negativity on the internet. And to a certain extent, they're right, even though they didn't really watch the video and see if I had any positivity to give. So I hope you're doing that, and if you realize that you like this video, please like, subscribe, and share the video. And if you're one of my first 66 followers, I really appreciate you, and you can vouch for me. You've helped stick with me as I've evolved this channel into what it's supposed to be, finding its identity. So far I've usually done a few reactions and penalty videos, but what I want to do is start breaking down critical scenes in episodes and movies, and seeing if they accomplish the goal of that scene. I'll explain what I mean in a second, but first, cue the intro.
Why did you say that there?
It's his mother's name!
That's a lot of fish.
Alright, so here we are. This is, first and foremost, a writing channel. With the penalties, I'm trying to point out writing don'ts, but we need something a little better to identify writing to-dos. And one of the best ways I find when I'm critiquing with a critique partner or thinking about my own stories is it is important that when you are judging a scene, that each scene has a goal. So these types of videos where I break down critical scenes will involve identifying 3 key scenes of a television episode or 5 key scenes in a movie, giving each scene 4 plays to reach the goal of that scene. If the scene does not reach its goal in 4 downs, then there's a turnover on downs. Now there will be some other things like an atrocious fumble or something like that that can ruin the whole scene. But most of the time, a turnover on downs means that the writers probably should have considered some other options. And I'll give one option that would have saved the scene. So first, let's identify 3 critical scenes in episode 5. By the way, if you're new to this channel, before I get into the 3 critical scenes, pretty much all of my videos are spoiler discussions because we're discussing the writing in detail. But the first, the 3 critical scenes that I want to go to the booth and review the play-by-play on are Mayho and Asiya. I'm using Wikipedia to get her name right because her full name is rarely mentioned. Mayho, or May, versus Jeki, or Jeki-Lon, the Jedi, in their lightsaberless fight. The second critical scene should be no surprise, is the revelation of who the Sith Lord is. We're calling them a Sith Lord. We don't know if it's Sith Master truly or a Sith Apprentice, but that revelation scene is a critical moment for the entire series, not just the episode. And finally, the third and final critical scene is when May and Osha finally actually talk to each other in the present day timeline. We'll get into it in just a minute. So, first scene. The goal of this scene, and throw the challenge flag if you think the goal of this scene was something different, but it should have been to establish that May will no longer trust the idea of returning to the Jedi or turning herself into the Jedi, that they won't show her mercy, and that they'll feel a vengeful sort of justice toward her. So that's the goal. Mai is going to abandon that course of action because of this fight. Now, we'll go by the play-by-play, and remember they get 4 plays to reach that goal. First play is at the very start of the fight, Jeki attacks without warning. Now, I saw some people criticize this, like why would she just run up and attack May without warning? Well, she's got a big bad Sith Lord killing everyone she knows, and she assumes May is with this person. So she attacks. So the aggressiveness, the fury of the fight, all of that. The choreography is really good. They gain 5 yards on that first play. Play number 2. Jackie attempts to subdue Mai with handcuffs. This is consistent with the betrayal of the Jedi we see in the show, but I'm only giving it 2 yards here because the dialogue does not quite accomplish the overall goal.
The murder of Master Tobin. The murder of Master Kelnacker. The fire that killed your family.
Jackie sounds very vengeful, but as an audience who's supposed to be rooting for May, and we're not sure who to root for in this situation, we wonder why May doesn't try to explain anything in her defense. I've seen several reactions where people are like, why doesn't she try to explain? So it's moving towards the goal, but inching that way. Play number 3. May gains the upper hand. Now, not only is May not trying to explain anything about her situation, she's now attacking with deadly force, going so far as to slash and throw her kunai. So at that point, Jackie should be drawing her saber. There's no reason to mess around with subduing anymore with just hand-to-hand combat and put yourself at risk. So Jackie's acting dumb. Now, there may be some respect for not wanting to hurt May because of her relationship with Osha, but lightsabers have lopped off some arms and legs before, and the character's been fine. So we are in a battle situation. May is in character, determining she's just going to kill this threat, but she's still not accomplishing anything toward the goal of the scene at this point. So get tackled for a loss. So now it's, we'll say 4th and 3, it looks like. I'm going to spot the ball right about here. It wasn't as bad a loss as I originally thought, but still 4th down, and there's no punting in these breakdowns. And this 4th and final play is when Jackie subdues May and wins the fight.
You took Master Kelnacker's saber.
Let's take it with they are asking for a measurement, and they barely got it. They got a 1st down. So they completed the goal. I am convinced that May would not want to join the Jedi, but also would think the Jedi would have no forgiveness for her at all. Whereas before, for some reason, she thought that maybe since Osha was there, maybe she would have some forgiveness. Maybe the clincher is a good line of dialogue about the saber. I think there's a motif here where May is constantly grabbing for the saber of the Jedi she fights. And she finally gets one, but she didn't earn it this time. And another Jedi tells her it's dishonorable for her to have it. The second critical scene of the Acolyte Episode 5 is the big Sith reveal.
Obviously, right?
Silly me.
But I think the goal of this scene is pretty obvious to most, and there won't be many challenge flags. That the goal of the scene is to both reveal that the masked Sith is indeed Kimar, and some people were disappointed on how easy they thought that was to predict. But I think the real mystery here is supposed to be the master and apprentice relationship and what the Jedi did that is allowing them to manipulate things, and why these two twins are of particular interest to the Sith. Anyway, play number 1. Jackie is killed. As shocking as this is, as good a choice as I think this is, there's no gain on the play.
No!
Osha does feel Jackie's death, and this event is important to the overall story, but it's not necessarily that important to the whole scene. The impact of this death on the whole story seems wasted on everyone so far, except for Sol. Now, I think what's going to happen is that the Sith is going to tell Osha later on, hey, the Jedi brought your friend into this and got her killed.
She was a child.
You brought her here.
You should join me instead. The Jedi are evil, and he's going to reveal what really happened to Osha. Maybe at the same time, you'll have like this transposing point of view where Sol says also what really happened to Mai. So the next episode could be really interesting to do that. This death feels like a thematically bad warning to the audience about the Jedi. What do you mean by that, Riff? Well, tell him, Maz.
A good question for another time.
Alright, play number 2. The Sith takes my hostage and taunts Sol. 3-yard gain. The Sith is making progress towards his goal, whatever it is, we still don't know quite yet, by trying to create distrust of the Jedi in mind. Keep in mind the goal of this scene is to reveal what the Sith wants, but it's interesting to see him act very Sith-like and try to turn Sol's darker feelings against him.
While my back is turned? Not very Jedi of you.
It's hard to judge what the Sith really wants, so Sol straight up asks him.
What are you?
And that leads to play 3. Wow, first down, 10-yard gain. This was really good dialogue between Sol and the Sith. Excellent job, Acolyte crew. This dialogue exchange is well acted and believable, and the Sith spells out exactly what he wants.
You risk discovery.
Well, I did wear a mask.
What do you want?
The
Freedom.
most important thing he wants is a pupil. We are to infer by this episode that either Mai or Osha will do, and that he manipulates each girl differently. People are asking why the Sith would risk discovery. It seems like it breaks canon to them. Not yet. Again, just like with the Immaculate Conception thing, I'm not breaking canon yet. You could take a misstep and have that happen. He tells us that May forced his hand, so he's got to go reveal himself and kill everyone. And like you said, he did wear a mask. So I don't think he even necessarily wants to kill May. If she can't live long enough through this night, I think he figures she's not worthy and he'll go after Osha. But he doesn't kill her right away when he has a chance. He first sets her free from her cuffs. He's constantly abandoning fights to go after Mai, so is he trying to terrify her? Kind of unclear, but it's very interesting. The only danger now for breaking canon is exactly as he says. If any of these Jedi escape, if Sol gets a message out and it's not covered up, or you don't show a cover-up happen on the show, well, now you're leaving a canon-breaking event open. Anyway, first down. So now we're at the 10-yard line, and it's do or die. Maybe I'll come up with some way that shows can kick a field goal and still come away with points. But for now, they've got to get this into the end zone. Because of the way the show has gone, the goal of this scene was kind of tricky to determine. But after kind of going over it a few times, I kind of determined that the goal was probably to establish what each character wants from their relationship as sisters. By us understanding that, their next actions will make sense. The difficult thing about this very critical scene for the entire series is that it's all dialogue. And barring doing a video for 20 minutes about good dialogue versus bad dialogue, I'll just say real quick that good dialogue should attack and defend. It should, just like a duel, be a fencing match. Each character should want something, want to learn something, want to achieve something with the other character, be it intimidate, be it persuade, something. Every exchange should attack and defend, and it should feel natural within the voice of the universe. So with that being in mind, let's go to play number 1 of Mai and Osha meet face to face. So on play 1, here we go. Osha attacks and Mai defends with dialogue. So they're doing a good job attacking and defending. Osha comes out swinging, accusing Mai of being the source of this conflict. And then Mai defends herself saying, no, I've done all of this for you. So that is a loss of 2. And the dialogue is good, but words don't match the character of Mai. Osha is feeling natural right now. She should be upset all her friends died and kind of pointing the finger at her sister for so many dead Jedi. But the show has done nothing to show us that when Mai says all of this was for you, that's not what the show has been showing us. Mai should be like, I thought you were dead along with the rest of our family, and the Jedi were responsible for it. That would have been a good way to start, but as it is, this scene flounders already. Loss of 2 on the play. Play number 2. Mai attacks now, and Osha's on the defensive. And so now Mai says, look, you've been brainwashed. Come here, let me give you a hug. And Mai doesn't know what to do about it. Or excuse me, I'm already getting the twins confused. And it doesn't help that they're the same actor, which makes this scene pretty tough because of that. Osha is so much on the defense that she has nothing to counter with, except silence. And that's okay. And then you have this hug happens, and you have a whole bunch of dialogue during the hug. Some of it's good, some of it's a little too much. But I think I gave this scene gain of 6. It's a good gain because the scene accomplishes a lot without beating the viewer over the head with it, and you can understand and I even identify with the deeper level of feelings of these two characters. Play number 3. It's third down. Here we go. Can they get in the end zone? Osha, all of a sudden, decides she's going to martial arts hold May. And then they get into a little grappling match, which is the most they can do with one face. But the bad thing about this dialogue is it doesn't counter or address the last thing that Mai said. The last thing Mai said was, hey, we both survived this, we should be together. And Osha should counter, after putting her in the lock, that we survived, but so many people that I love did not. Because she doesn't do that, you only get 1 yard. Because there is some effect on Mai in that now she feels that her sister has rejected her. And that's important for what she does next. All right, it's 4th and 5, the final play. They got to get in the end zone. Can they do it? Let's see what happens. Oh, and Mai force pushes Osha and she's unconscious. Incomplete. They failed to get in the end zone. Turnover on downs. Why doesn't this work? Because the only indication of what Mai wants now, that she's knocked her sister unconscious, comes when she cuts her hair. You know, this could be a cool symbolic gesture of her desire to have the love that Osha probably had in her life, but it actually just kind of causes a suspension of disbelief problem. So there might be a penalty on top of this play, but we won't address that now. All we know about Osha, now that she's unconscious, is that she wanted to bring May to justice for killing all these Jedi. Not very well set up in the 4 episodes before that, because she was kind of apathetic toward most of the Jedi. Didn't really show a whole lot of love to them. She had one moment where she was hopeful that she could rejoin the Jedi. That feels like a very surface level motivation. The failure of this touchdown, this scene, is the fault of the previous 4 episodes. But this scene needed to make up for a lot to get them back in the game, and it just falls short. So there you have it. 3 critical plays. They got 2 first downs. It's a good episode, but no score. We didn't leave the episode with anything more than a surface level understanding of what Mai or Osha, the main characters, want. And that's mostly because their actions don't make sense yet. And that's the constant problem with this show, is how much it keeps trying to extend itself. I'm getting the sense that this is a much shorter story than the 8 episodes that they tried to stretch it out into. It's a constant problem where they have good stuff. They keep asking the audience to wait until some other point down the line to understand character motivation. All May had to do was say to her unconscious sister, I'm gonna kill your master, and then you'll have no choice but to be with me. That would have been a good and understandable motivation based on the conversation that they just have. But now instead, we are just kind of left to guess that that's what she's gonna try to do. Who knows? She could be trying to be like, I'll just take my sister's place and go be a Jedi now. You know, is she that delusional? Is she just want to escape the planet with Soul and then kill him? You know, why would she leave her sister there? There's so many questions that don't get answered that really need to be answered in this episode to make us excited for the next one. This is running a little long, so until next time, I've been the Writing Ref, and that's been the call for the Acolyte, episode 5.